Okay, good morning. So we've got the post positions, draws. All the programs have released the morning lines and all that good stuff. So now we've got color coded Classic Empires number 5. Always Dreaming is going to be number 4. This is a feature that I'm going to be adding to the advanced PPs shortly. These are Bauer speed figures. These are Brisnet, and anyone with a dark blue means they have a greater than 3-point Bauer advantage, and this is their last race. So you can see Always Dreaming ran a 102 in the Derby compared to Classic Empire, who fired a 90, had a rough trip, which we'll get into in a second. 98 for Looking at Lee, Skim the Rail. It was pretty cool. We'll get into the new shooters that Multiplier didn't run in the Derby. Alright. What's interesting with Classic Empire, this is his Brisnet Prime Power score. It's pretty good. So if you go by just these numbers alone, Always Dreaming and Classic Empire have a pretty significant advantage over the rest of the field. The key with Classic Empire is whether or not he will be able to get back to this 102 that he ran back in, back here, Santa Anita, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Grade 1. Actually ran a 108 Brisnet speed figure 102 Bayer and threw a 0 Thorograph. And just to briefly go over, I won't go into every one of his races. I've watched every one of his races, and I'll briefly touch on this race because it knocked me out of the pick 6. There was a carryover mandatory payout, which is the only time I'll play the pick 6 really, or the jackpot pick 6s. And Classic Empire knocked me out of the pick 6, so I still have a little bit of resentment towards him. He went off at $4.70 in his second start. It was listed as a 6-furlong race, but they have a thing at Churchill Downs and other tracks called a run-up of 180 feet, which is equivalent to a quarter of a furlong or half a football field. And the horses he was facing that went off favorite were sprinters. You know, they're 6-furlong specialists, but they didn't know they were going 6 1/4. And he barely got up at the end as they were tiring to beat him. And, he ran well. He's a solid horse. When he broke his maiden here, he, kind of missed the break. Broke from post 1, which is never easy for a 2-year-old horse, inside of everybody. But still got up, split horses, and gamely won. That's what I like about Classic Empire. He will pass other horses. Now this was before he added blinkers, and you can see he's kind of a head case. They call him the bad boy because at Saratoga in the Hopeful Grade 1, he reared at the starting gate and bolted and top-toed, Ortiz off the mount as the heavy favorite. But he came back and redeemed himself in Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Futurity. Still went off as the favorite. He beat Guinevere and Looking at Lee in this race, and it was an impressive victory. He earned a 94 Brisnet, 88 Bauer. There was a hot pace early, and he still held on to win. They added blinkers in this race, so that made him more forwardly placed than he had ever been in the past, and it worked. So what was even more impressive is that he was on the pace with a hot pace and still won. So then what was super impressive was when he comes back 28 days later in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the best race there is, $2 million race for 2-year-olds, and had a closer friendly setup in pace ace. Very hot pace early, and held on to win. So it was a closer friendly. Just let me double check to make sure that came back as a hot pace there. I'm pretty sure it did. Right here. Well, it was listed as just average in the Timeform US. I like to check both of them. Let me pull up Pimlico. Way down yonder. Pimlico 20th. Okay, let's pull up Classic Empire search. Okay, so Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the C, so it was just a slightly closer favoring. +9 means it was fast early, +5 fast early. So it came back fast early, slow in the middle, and average late. So he did get kind of a little bit of a breather in the middle, but then it came back just average late. So, but it was still a good effort. He was up on it. Wasn't the favorite. I believe the favorite was, let me pull it up. The favorite was Not This Time, who almost got up to beat him. It was very close, like on the wire. Looking at Lee, ran in this race too. I'll get into him next. Term of Arts running today. New shooter. Okay. So, and the other one, like I said, the other one I like to look at to check the hot pace was, let's see if I can get this to pull up. It's a little finicky. That was the Clocker report before the Derby, not what we wanted. 13, Preakness. Okay. So this is for Classic Empire, and he, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, yeah, they listed this one as fast as well in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So pretty much everybody except for Timeform has it as fast. It was a closer favoring setup, so that's enough for me to say it was fast. And he ran the race of his life here. So what concerned me then is, okay, he comes back, takes off 91 days, and they start getting him ready for the Derby trail. Shows up in the Holy Bull against Gunnevera. Actually, that might be against Irish War Cry. Let's see. Yeah, Irish War Cry and Gunnevera. Irish War Cry wins this race, sets a soft pace. And Gunnevera closed into the slow place. I'll get into him next. But Classic Empire threw in a real clunker as the heavy favorite. Said he was warshy pre-start. I mean, he's sweating out. Didn't want to load in the gate. It was a speed favoring flow, and he was up on the pace with the Irish War Cry, so he had a pretty soft, easy trip. But he just didn't fire. Now later, the Mark Cassie camp came back and said that he had a foot abscess, so that's why they skipped the Fountain of Youth in the next race. But in this race, he did at least put away his pace rival, Talk Logistics, who turned out to be not much, but he did, if he was truly injured. So then he came back and pretty much redeemed himself in the Arkansas Derby. What concerns me is he had a late lead change at the end of the race. The buyers say it was a weak bunch with the exception of Malagasy. Conquest Mo Money, the other new shooter, is also in this race, who was on the lead. But we can see that, unfortunately, Conquest Mo Money down here has been throwing some pretty light speed figures compared to the others. He's he's not competing with even Hints or Multiplier or any of these guys. I mean, he's close, but anyway, he's not. He may have some distance limitations as well. Let's just pull up the chart real quick. For the Arkansas Derby. Nothing happens too quick in Formulator. Bump up. All right, so it was a closer favoring setup, and he was back off of it. For some reason in these races, we don't get those little, but apparently it was just average all around. Really, the pace was. What this means is there was enough speed horses in here to set it up for a closer, which even though the pace wasn't that fast, there was a lot of need-to-lead type horses in here that were up on the engine early, and that can be stressful for horses as well when they're all bunched up there, 5 of them, and they want to be on the lead. So good thing about Classic Empire is he can sit off of that and then stomp them late, which he did. He grinded it out, got up, beat Looking at Lee, came from the clouds to get up here. He did go off as the favorite. Malagasy went off as the second choice because of his 91 bar in the race coming previous, these high bars. So I'll just pull up the race real quick so that we can show the late lead change, which was a concern for me. Make this bigger. So Classic Empire is number 2.
They're at the post.
Right here in the yellow.
They're
That's
off.
him.
Petrov and Grandpa's Dream, Conquest Mo Money, and Rockin' Rudy. Classic Empire close up. Malagasy will be very wide early. Untrapped
Right
and
there.
One Dreamy
Conquest
Dude
Mo
next.
Money.
Then comes from the inside Silver Dust, Sonneteer, and the early trailer is Rowdy the Warrior. A contested front end as they move to the backstretch. Grandpa's Dream.
So here's
ahead in front.
Julian puts the brakes on to let him duel it out up there smartly.
Third. Malagasy is just outside of him.
Pretty fast quarter.
Empire is between horses, Untrapped on an early move, and here's Untrapped.
See by the odds, these are basically some pretty cheap speed horses, but they all need the lead, except for Malagasy, who's legit. Look at that. But he's right there in it.
Then comes One Dreamy Dude, followed by Looking at Lee, the maiden Sonneteer, and the trailer is Rowdy the Warrior. There is a half mile left to run in the 81st Arkansas Derby. Conquest Mo Money has the lead from Grandpa's Dream. Here comes Malagasy to the outside. He's third. Untrapped is right after him. The champion Classic Empire is fifth, but he's only 2 from the front. Then comes Looking at Lee. Silver Dust is at the rail, and they
picking
run
his
towards
spot
the top
here.
of the stretch, and Malagasy has a short lead.
Turns it on.
Conquest Mo Money comes right
Just
back
starts
at him,
scrubbing.
and actually Reed takes the front. Untrapped is
Conquest
only
Mo Money
from the
threw in a
front.
game effort
Classic
here.
Empire, 2.5
This is
to
at
make.
9 furlongs.
Conquest Mo Money and Malagasy, they are right
Malagasy's
together.
no
To the
joke.
outside and
He
Untrapped.
puts him
Here
away.
comes Classic Empire.
That's Looking at Lee right there.
The new leader, Malagasy. Malagasy, Conquest Mo Money. Here's the champ, Classic Empire.
Right there.
It is Conquest Mo Money, Classic Empire. The 81st Arkansas Derby goes to Classic Empire.
That was a tight race.
Conquest Mo Money.
You can see another thing to look at is the gallop out right here. Looking at Lee and Conquest Mo Money both pass Classic Empire on the gallop out, so that's not a good sign. And I'm going to try to do the slow-mo where we can see the late lead change here right at the wire, which is also never a good sign for Classic Empire. It can be hard to see. Matt Benier pointed this out on a show I was watching. So here he comes. Right now he's on his left
Ladies
lead.
and gentlemen, please be advised the stewards have posted the inquiry sign.
Right there he switched. I'll try to back it up 5 seconds. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Right there. Switched. What you really don't want to see is multiple lead changes in the stretch. It's because they're getting tired. They compare it to if you or I was carrying a suitcase in the airport and we had it in one arm the whole time. Eventually we'd want to switch it over to the other one. So right there he switched. I don't think it's a huge deal in this case. Let's look at how he did in the Derby. Because I thought he ran, considering the trip, he ran pretty well. Was way back, made just a little headway. He was wide the whole way compared to Always Dreaming. He actually covered 9 lengths more than Always Dreaming. You can see right here. This is the Derby. Based on the Delta. 75 feet more. I've already gone into that. So he couldn't put away Battle of Midway, but he did cover twice as much ground as Battle of Midway. So that could be excusable. And another nice little tool that helps with a race like this with a massive field is this tool from Preakness. So Classic Empire is number 14, I believe, in this race. Let me please. Where was he? Yep, number 14. Classic Empire. So just count it down. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. He's in the yellow right here. He gets slammed into at the break by Irish War Cry and gets shuffled way back. And since he's had blinkers, he's been used to running more forwardly. In fact, he projects on the pace projector to be more forwardly placed in today's Preakness. So here he goes. Right there, you can't see it on this screen, but he gets slammed into out of the gate. Pushed back, way back. Almost back as far as looking at Lee back here on the rail. There's Always Dreaming up on the rail. State of Honor's outside of him. So you can see Classic Empire, he's wide on the first turn on the back stretch. So right there is where Always Dreaming makes that crucial move to get outside of State of Honor. Look how wide Classic Empire is out here. That's why he lost 75 feet of ground loss. He probably got a huge thorograph number. So Always Dreaming, that was a crucial move right there. There's Irish War Cry on his outside. Always Dreaming, Julian still way out wide. Couldn't be any wider. So, but what's good here is he hangs on. That's looking at Lee shooting the rail. So I love that horse. He always gives 110% and he always seems to hit the board. So Classic Empire at least had the stamina to hang on for 4th. That's Battle of Midway. He was starting to fade. So that's a good, it just kind of clarifies it. Because in a 20-horse field, Twin Spires did post a high-def head-on replay, which is nice. I'll pull that up now. Because otherwise it's almost impossible to see.
They're in the gate. And they're off in the Kentucky Derby. Classic Imp.
Okay.
They're in the gate.
Here's Classic Empire.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Boom.
Classic Empire was bounced around at the start. Always Dreaming was off well toward the inside. And State of Honor is flashing speed too. And Fast and Accurate is sent through on the inside. With the twin spires above, the Derby field races for that crucial first turn. And State of Honor is out to set the pace. Always Dreaming is going to rate second and inside. Battle of Midway is up close racing third. Irish War Cries on the outside in fourth. Fast and Accurate is down inside fifth.
It's pretty accurate. I mean, he's about 3 off the rail. Ground loss is crucial. That's how Thorograph, and actually Ragozin invented this method. Thorograph copied it, but that's how the sheets work. It accounts for this ground loss, and that's why it's so important.
Fifth in the early going. IRAP is running in sixth. Practical Joke over to the inside to be seventh. Gormley is eighth around the opening turn. Then it's Patch racing in ninth. Untrapped is 10th and toward the inside. Griffin is mid-pack while 11th. Then it's McCracken running along in 12th. Classic Empire is 13th in the early going. Gunnevere is racing 14th to the backstretch run. Tappert is 15th. Looking
Kinda
at me is
losing back
16th.
here.
J-Boy's Echo is 17th.
Look for the yellow.
Sonneteer on the outside is second to last. And hence
think
is
this
the
is
early
him right
trailer.
here.
An intense opening half mile
guy's
at
not having
46
fun.
and 2 fifths seconds.
I don't know who
5
that is.
furlongs to go in the Kentucky Derby.
Lots of
And
mud.
Always Dreaming has moved outside of State of Honor and is putting in a bid for the lead with just a half mile to go in the run for the Roses. Irish War
Very
Cry is
wide.
poised on their outside. And Battle of Midway
Always
is right there
Here he
too.
comes.
Racing fourth and coming on through between
Final
horses.
turn.
Farther back in the field, Gormley started to muster up a rally.
Right there.
Practical Joke goes by Fast and Accurate. McCracken's been released on the outside and he's flying past horses up to be fourth on the far outside. Classic Empire's following him as they round the far turn in the 143rd Kentucky Derby. Always Dreaming is the leader. Battle of Midway fights on between horses. Irish War Cry is there on the outside. McCracken swings wide. Classic Empire does too. And Looking at Lee cut the corner off the turn. They're racing for the final furlong. Always Dreaming digging down deep on a 2-length lead. Looking at Lee wanders off the rail. Now with 3 lengths to make up and a 16th to
Looking
go.
at Lee
But
right
Always
there.
Dreaming is digging down and Always Dreaming is holding on. Looking at Lee can't catch Always Dreaming, who's the 143rd winner of the Kentucky Derby.
So I would have liked
Looking at Lee
to.
was second. Battle of Midway was third.
I would have liked to have seen him put away Battle of Midway, to get up for third, but he did lose quite a bit of ground. Sorry. The bottom line is just kind of judging by that race. I mean, granted, he did get slammed into early, but I think he just doesn't have the early kick to get out of the gate like he used to, or at least he showed 2 back. It's right here, early pace 74, 88, compared to Always Dreaming, who kind of shot out early, much faster. Anybody else in here that was on the engine? No. And then Always Dreaming put away State of Honor. So, I mean, Classic Empire, he ran well. There's a good chance he could come second, but given he's going to be the second choice, what I'm leaning towards doing right now is try to get him out of the exacta, but then I'll play a saver probably with a trifecta. I'm going to key Always Dreaming on top, and to try to make some money, which is what this is all about, I'm going to have Always Dreaming on top and then try to beat him out of the exacta. That's what I'm leaning towards right now. I'm not going to lock in early. I'm going to keep an open mind. But I'll show you the other horses. The other horse I like the best is Looking at Lee, who is also the third choice on the morning line at 10-1. I don't think he can win, but I definitely think he would fill out the trifecta and maybe even get up to fill out the exacta if Classic Empire doesn't fire. What's going to be tough for Looking at Lee is this is the pace projector. Here he is back here, and they're projecting a slow early pace, which probably will come to fruition. I have to look at these 2 horses right here. Cloud Computing is the 2 and that guy. So next I'll look at Looking at Lee.